Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well as can be expected. Um, we're going on holiday at the end of this week to Northumberland, and it's my favourite place in the whole of the country. It's a holiday that we had to keep cancelling, but finally we can go. But I'm feeling quite nervous about it because the furthest place I've been in the past 4 months is Bridgnorth, which is about 8 miles from my house. And it's strange, isn't it, how confidence can be so quickly eroded. Anyway, we're still going to go, and I'm hoping and praying that that anxiety dissipates as time moves on. And hopefully I'll be doing a thought for the day from there, so you'll see maybe where I am. Today I want to continue on the theme of compassion, and I just want to go back to my childhood again for a moment. And when I was a child, we were pretty poor, really, but we were no different to many other young families around us. So I wasn't particularly conscious of our poverty. And my mum and dad, provided the best for me and my sister. And the only time I was really conscious of it was when I might hear my parents arguing about the shortage of money. And I'm sure some can relate to that. I was acutely aware, though, of the children who appeared poorer than us. And for some reason, as a child, I defined poverty in terms of whether they had any socks on or not, or if they were constantly wearing Wellingtons, throughout the year in the summer and winter. And I remember my heart aching for them, but I didn't know what that feeling was as a child. And as a child, I would constantly read in the Bible the story of the crucifixion over and over again, and be shocked by the horror of it, and wonder how it must have felt for Jesus to be crucified and whipped. And it was also during the days of capital punishment, and for some reason I remember being aware of the days when a judicial hanging was to take place. I used to read newspapers. How I started to read was the Dandy, the Beano, the News of the World, and the Daily Mirror. That's how I learnt to read. And I remember being aware of those days, and I remember thinking myself as a child into the shoes of the person who was going to be hanged, and it was horrific, and the feeling was terrifying. And now I may have been a strange child, and I may even be a strange adult. Some of you will have your own opinions of that. But I recognise now that these were the seeds of empathy and compassion. I was recognising at that young age the less fortunate and the suffering, but not knowing why or what I might do about any of it. And I'm still a bit like that as an adult. Maybe you are, recognising suffering, but not always knowing what to do about it. And as a teenager at St Albans, I was a pain in the backside to many of the adults in the congregation, because I was always protesting about something or other, something we must do as Christians about this or that issue or that injustice, but in a way not really knowing how to practically respond to those issues. And I was always told, it's not simple as that. Things aren't always as simple as I was making out. And you want to solve all the problems, you can't do it, I was told. And I would get frustrated and angry. And I desperately needed someone to understand and to help me, rather than dismiss me as being impractical and idealistic. And how do we demonstrate Jesus' call for us to love others and to stand up for the oppressed and the broken? How do we demonstrate that compassion that we might have for people? Well, firstly, on a localized level, I'm going to open these curtains a bit. They're too closed and it seems very dark. No, it's not much better. Anyway, not that I'd got the curtains really closed, they were just not fully properly open. Let's get back to what I'm talking about. Yeah, on a localized level, and I'll come back to another topic that I've spoken about before, that we really need to listen. We need to listen to people. We need to listen to people's pain, watch for their discomfort. There are always little signs that people give off when they're unsure or afraid. I'm going to put the light on. I'm a fidget today, but that's not even any better. Yeah, so we need to listen to people. Our empathy and compassion can be triggered by those things, by those little signs. But feeling compassion is just a start, isn't it? It's not just about giving a few words of sympathy or acknowledgement or encouragement, although those are good things to do. Compassion should mean action, even if that action may be perceived as passivity. And for example, that one I've given you before, just sitting quietly without trying to fix someone. But if we want to follow Jesus, then we need to embrace this sense of trying to be compassionate, to reach out in love and understanding, and to be humble enough to learn when we don't understand. And we can start off, can't we, with our own family, where there may be brokenness, or our neighbourhood, or in our community relations, and ultimately the wider world. We can start with those in our everyday lives. And as we begin to reach out in that way, we will begin to transform our world, and it can spread. Now, there are those who might say that this is a naive vision, but it isn't. It isn't a naive vision. It's a hard vision. It's a difficult vision. It takes massive effort. It takes persistence. It takes heartbreak. It takes ridicule sometimes. But most of all, it takes love. And it takes a focus on who we should be in Jesus. And finally, I'd just like to leave you with one question. And I ask this question of myself as well. It's not just me telling other people what to do. Far from it. I just ask this question. What action today is God inviting you to take to be an instrument of His mercy and compassion? Just ask you to ponder on that and see where that takes you. See where you can take an action, a compassionate action towards someone. Well, it's a bit shorter today, I think, and I've been a bit of a fidget, and I hope you'll excuse that. I think Tom said in the service yesterday that about getting together as a congregation, but even though the government has said we can do, we haven't got the guidance to do it safely yet. So still we're moving forward, and we're moving forward to be together again, face to face at some point. We don't know when, but we will, and I look forward to that. And I'll speak to you later in the week. Take care of yourselves, and keep safe, and God bless. Bye-bye.